Hey everybody, this is Royce here with Gates 3 Designs, and I am back with another episode. Today I wanted to talk about what it's like in architecture school. What you can expect, how are things. So, my experience in architecture school, it was fun. It had its ups and downs. Of course, I'm sure you've heard, you will or you should expect a lot of all-nighters. Those are going to be very common, especially first and second year. Expect all-nighters. It's possible to manage your time to where you don't have to do so much. And you may try, but somehow, some way, you're going to end up pulling all-nighters, especially when you're put into groups, which brings me to my next point. Working in groups can be very frustrating. Everybody has a different schedule. It's not like when you're actually working in a firm or for a company, everybody's on the same time. Everybody gets there at 7 or 8, working till 5 or 6, whatever. Everybody's there at the same time. When it comes to architecture school or just college in general, working in groups, everybody has totally different schedules. It's like, oh, I can't meet at this time, I have class. Oh, I have to work, I have this. It gets very frustrating. And in my opinion, it doesn't really prepare you for working in the field. That part of it. That part of working in the groups. I understand collaborating with people, but when you have to meet up outside of class, it gets really frustrating. And when you're forced to have to pull all-nighters when you planned out that you weren't going to do so, it can be very frustrating. With that, expect to do a lot of presentations on very little sleep. Due to the fact that a lot of people will end up doing their all-nighters during or the night before presentations are due and the night before you have to present. You'll get used to it, but in the beginning, you'll feel like crap. A lot of the kids look like zombies presenting. It can be very frustrating. You're tired and you're trying to explain your project and even when you're finished and you get through it, you'll feel good. Yes, I can't believe I did that. I stayed up 3 nights and I finished this. But you'll say, oh crap, I forgot to mention this. Oh, I forgot to do that. And you'll start to notice that you forgot a lot. You forgot to add certain things to your board, your presentation board, or your model. And it's like, oh, I could have done this better. But you just take that as a learning experience. That's just how you learn. Another thing is, expect to be broke. Expect to have very little money. You're going to be spending so much money on supplies that it's not even funny. Like it's and a lot of people I know, at least that I went to school with, they had parents to help them. Me, I did not. And I'm sure there were a number of other students who did not have the support that you truly need to be an architecture student. It doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. You can still be successful. There's like a lot of times at a lot of schools, there's like bins where you can pick up, recycled supplies or extra scrap to do your models, and you can get by, but getting by comfortably, I don't know. You're gonna really learn how to budget. One other thing. The studio atmosphere is basically there will be a lot of clicks, and that's pretty much like anywhere you'd go for anything. If there's a a number of people who have to spend time for years together, there's going to be subgroups. So there's going to be a number of subgroups or cliques, if you will. But everybody kind of meshes pretty well. Like, everybody still works together. There'll be a lot of, let me go check out what Bob is doing. Hey Bob, how did you get your pieces to come out that way on a laser cutter? What type of glue did you use? What were you thinking when you came up with that design? Where can I go to look at precedents for, there's going to be a lot of helping, but there's usually cliques of people. So you'll have your own subgroup really to converse with and bounce ideas off of with. And if you're the type of person who just gets away with not spending time in the studio, and you never pull all-nighters, which is not a bad thing. Like, you'll feel like, oh, if I don't stay, it's gonna look like I don't work hard. That's not a bad thing. If you can manage getting things done at a great time without pulling all-nighters and ruining your health, kudos to you and great job. But if you're that person who gets away with doing that, you may start to feel like an outcast. You may start to feel like you don't belong. So I believe a lot of students actually purposely pull all-nighters so they can feel a part of something, so they're not the outcast. What I notice nowadays, because when I went, let me just explain this. When I went back to architecture school, to a university, I was a lot older than the students I was going to school with. I had actually graduated with an associate's in architecture and worked as a drafter for a number of years prior to going back to school. So what I had noticed is that kids nowadays, and I feel like it wasn't this way when I was a lot younger, but kids nowadays, they are afraid to be the outcast. They're afraid to be different. I've noticed that, and you'll notice it in social media. You'll notice it in your personal life. I noticed in school, studying architecture at a university, that students feared being alone almost. Being the outcast. And it was just like, no, I have to be part of the group. I have to be in the in crowd. My personality doesn't understand that. I've just always been reserved and introverted my whole life. Like, I'm very comfortable by myself. Like, actually, I'm the most comfortable when I'm by myself. So I did notice that. I'm not knocking it. It's fine. It's cool. But if you're one who's like me, or you just figure out how to get by without pulling all-nighters because that's just not your thing and you're not going to do it, you may start to feel a little guilt after a while. But don't let that get to you. Not at all. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I want to know your stories of going to architecture school. Let's talk about it. Thanks.